Hello. So today I decided that in lieu of the really big patch that's coming up, I'm going to go over the slides for patch 14.1 that is coming up. I usually do daily TFT content. Tomorrow we're going to do a grind stream, so a lot of the future uploads for the rest of the week are going to be done tomorrow. So please make sure to stop by the stream. Also make sure to like and subscribe if you like the TFT content on this channel, which is the YouTube channel where I post all of those VODs. Anyways, let's get straight to it. It's going to be a massive patch. There's a lot of stuff to go through. I'm just going to give like a little bit of digestion for everything here. These are from MORTDOG's YouTube channel, so I just want to make sure that that's very clear. Please go make sure to follow, like, and subscribe to MORTDOG, and he'll give his take and everything that he said. And he's like Riot Dev, so he's like going to explain everything really well. I'm just going to reinterpret them for this channel and for my audience because I think that's a worthwhile thing to go through. But please go make sure to follow, and I'll put that in the description below as well. Anyways, so big system changes. There's this headliner change, which if you didn't know, if someone was holding more than half the headliners in the pool, then, or collectively amongst everybody, then you would not be able to find that headliner in your shop. Now there are no restrictions on 1, 2, and 3 costs, and then for 4 costs, and 5 costs, they changed the rules. So 5 costs, they don't show up if you own more than 3 copies, and the 4 cost doesn't show up if you own more than 4 copies. So as long as there's enough in the pool of a unit, as long as you don't have 4 copies on your bench or more than 4 copies on your own bench, you can still find the unit, which just makes it a little bit easier to hit some of those headliners, especially if you're playing a contested board. This is probably the biggest change. I'm going to put big here. The biggest change this patch is definitely going to be the streak change. So right now they're making the streak basically delayed by 1 round. So now, before, if you won 2 to 3 rounds or lost 2 to 3 rounds, you would get 1 gold. But now it's changed to 3 to 4. So in order to start gaining extra gold, so 2 gold or 3 gold, you now have to streak for 5 or streak for 6. This is gonna be insane. So they're trying to make it so that, like, you know, it's trying to deter from like those easy high roll positions where you just like get 5 losses or 4 losses. It's like just to, because like it felt like there was a lot of money and everybody would just go fast 8 and they would just like send it for like fast 8. And I think this is, I don't know how to feel about this change. I think it's good. Like, I think they had to do something about the amount of money that was in place, and I think that it's like a good change. I think this is gonna make rerolls way more viable. I don't think people realize, like, if you do the math, I was trying to do the math, it's like, if you start playing units and you buy like a 2-cost headliner, you might not be able to make 10 gold by Krugs. Like, you might be able to make like just 10. Like, you're gonna be so poor. Like, unless you like giga high roll or giga low roll, if you actually get to play the full open board, you are not gonna streak. You're not gonna get a lot of money from streaking, because it's not only that, it's also stage 3, right? Like, stage 3, it's so easy to snap your streak now. You have to win 4 in a row. You have to win out the entirety of stage 3 without having to hit 1 high roller, right? Unless you're the high roller, right? And if you remember, like, imagine this patch, if you didn't streak ever, like if you just one lost, it was like a guaranteed 8th because you could not go 8. So I think now what's gonna happen is you're gonna like try and build a board on level 7. I think that this will make it so that stages 1 and 2, right? So stage 1 plus 2 will be a lot more fun, because people are going to be playing like creative boards, because HP preservation is going to be really important, because like you won't have the gold to stabilize later. Like, everybody's going to be kind of poor. So it's going to make it a lot more fun for, or sorry, stage 2 and 3 is what I mean to say, because stage 1 is just like the creep rounds. I think it's going to make it a lot more fun, but I think a lot of people are going to get stuck on 7. And if you're stuck on 7, I think people are just going to reroll, because instead of spending 50 gold to level, I think you can just find a viable board that you'll send it for reroll, and that kind of scares me. I hope that's not the case, but if it is, I'm going to be really depressed, because I fucking hate I hate this game when it's just all reroll and sending it 2-1. Flashbacks to 9.5. Alright. Anyways. Combat ties, this is basically if 2 people are trying to loss streak, it doesn't turn into like the RNG thing of who travels. Like, both of them just snap their streaks and they both lose. That's fine. I hate loss streaking anyways. I tried it even when it was like meta this patch, and I still don't try to do it. It's just so unfun. And then there's a big change to country, that now country you can craft with spat and cloak. It's kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's gonna be broken because they didn't really nerf Country that much. They nerfed Hecarim a little bit, which we'll see later. And Jazz now is uncraftable. I think that's fine because Jazz was like the go-to that you would always just play Jazz. So I think it's fine that like you have to like work for it. But I feel like you can't just like craft it for fun. But I think this Country crafting is, I think it strictly makes Country better. And I think Country was already like a guaranteed top 4, like one of those, like if you have the spot for it, you play it and it's good. I just don't know how you're gonna fit 7 Country because like you need to level, so it might make the board a little bit weird. It's like it's probably still like a high roll thing that you don't really play for 7 Country off rip. You kind of want to upgrade all your units first, or it might turn it that you stabilize and then you go 8, and then you like if 7 Country is strong enough, I think it will be, then you just roll on 8 instead of rolling on 7, so that you can just fit in the extra unit. But I think it's also like being craftable. The other thing that I think might be broken is that now another 3 cost will like power up Hecarim, right? So like let's say you put this on Set or a Mumu, you have Set and a Mumu that are also 3 stars, so your Hecarim becomes even stronger because now it's gonna have extra star level value from whatever you cloak, whatever you give a Country spat to. I don't know if I like it, but we'll see. Anyways, let's go to the next slide. So the portals, I'm kind of gonna skip over this. I don't really care too much. Like these are all for fun. Cool ones is Crab Rave. Apparently, like it's really hard on stage 5. Like they're like, it's basically like what's it called? The scuttle thing, like the gold one with the scuttle crabs. Except now the scuttle crabs on stage 5, you actually have to like prep for. Like they're giga strong. So that sounds like fun. I'm gonna see how it is. Like if people are losing to Crab Rave, that would be really funny. I think that's fine. There's a couple that are coming back. I think this Wandering Trainers one is kind of like scary because I feel like you can really high roll. Because imagine you just get like some of the Giga emblems. Like usually that, I don't know, that one scares me. This one scares me. I don't ever want to pick this one. But all the other ones are pretty good. I really like these Crescendo and Decrescendo ones because like the one that gave you all silvers and all prismatics were the ones that were like the most variants in my opinion and were kind of weird. I think Decrescendo is a little more scary because having the silver tier at the end and somebody just gets Recon Bob is scary, right? Instead of having the silver at the beginning where you can't hit Recon Bob. So I like Crescendo more, but you know, these are pretty cool. I think it'll be fun. The starting with a spat one is scary, especially now at Country spat. I think it's like Spatula, multiple people contesting Country. That's scary. Anyways, traits. 8-bit is getting a buff. This is a strict Riven buff. So they nerfed all the units for 8-bit. So they nerfed Corki and they nerfed Caitlyn, but they didn't nerf Riven. And Riven reroll is already really strong. I was debating today if I do a Riven reroll guide. I think Riven's gonna be the best board in the patch. I think this patch you're gonna roll down on level 7, and I do not see how Riven won't be giga strong. They nerfed all the boards that Riven was weak against. They buffed 8-bit, and they didn't touch Riven. I don't get it. I don't understand how Riven won't be broken this patch. So mark my words, we're gonna be playing a lot of Riven reroll. I think I'm gonna crack. I'm gonna go full reroll. I just do Riven every game. I really don't see how these buffs won't make like without nerfing Riven. I think this is scary, especially with like the econ changes. And the thing is, like, if the whole lobby is going reroll, right? It makes it easier to hit reroll because if everybody starts buying the same units, or sorry, if everybody starts buying 3-cost and 2-cost units, it makes it easier for you to hit 3-cost and 2-cost units. I think the only problem with Riven is gonna be how hard people are gonna contest you for it, right? But then there's also like the spat carousel now. Like you can just get a spat for free, so then you get 6 8-bit Riven, and now it's 14%. And I'm like, bro. Like, I don't know. I think Riven's gonna be busted. I'm already bitching now. I'm gonna flashback to PB Riven when everybody plays Riven. Anyways, Crowd Diver, 12 on 2. It's mostly they nerfed like 6 Crowd Diver and they buffed 2 Crowd Diver. I think this makes Chosen Zed very strong, right? It's basically like a strict buff to Chosen Zed. A lot of times you'd get like Chosen Zed, and you'd play it like in place of other units, or if you want like a melee unit up front. and it was kind of weird. Now, if you have like plus Crowd Diver Z or plus Crowd Diver anything, I feel like you can stabilize your board really well. If you're playing like a mid-game board and you get like a Katarina or a Yone and you're not committed to reroll, I think it also really helps. It's like whenever you have like the headliner ones, I think it's like really, really good. And even if you don't have the headliner, I think like not committing to a full Crowd Diver board but still stabilizing, this is really strong. EDM is getting a general nerf. So I think this is gonna really crush the Jax, EDM Jax board if you've ever seen it. So basically they're adding a strict 1 second time, 1 second plus. So the way EDM works is like each unit has like a timer, and then it would cause the cast, and that would be like the EDM cast that you see, where they would do like the cast again, and everybody would kind of like do the jump in if you're playing Jax, right? Having it cut by like a whole having it cut by a whole second, I think really destroys Jax. And also the 5 EDM is reduced from 2 to 1. So basically Jax is gonna cast 2 seconds slower. So before he would cast every 5 like before the EDM, this is for EDM cast, right? Would be every 5 seconds. Now it's gonna be every 7 seconds. So in 10 seconds you'd get only like every 10 seconds you're basically cut in half. It's like cut by like 30% or something, right? Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of damage output lost. They're not touching Lux, so I think this line you'll probably prioritize Lux now. EDM Lux was really strong. It was just like really variable because when Lux casts, she tries to snipe the backline. So when you build the Lux, it's kind of like awkward sometimes. Like if they position for you, similar like Karthus Akali, how it became really difficult. Like if they position around you, you lose a lot of effectiveness. So Jax was more reliable, but I think now it might be Lux. Emo changes, I don't really know. I know Vex reroll is really strong with Twitch, and I know Vex like alone. I played Vex like Vex emo reroll one time when I had the spot for it, and I did really well with it. So I don't think it's gonna become like any more broken than it already is, but I think it just helps. I think these are all strong changes. I think this might make it so that you want to play like, you know, when you're playing like Spellweavers and emo, like a lot of times it was like, oh, do I really need emo in? I think this might help a little bit by having the extra Malai to allies. The extra mana to allies. Executioner, I think this makes it so that now like Executioner boards are going to be really busted. It goes with the whole Vex thing. I think these two together makes like Vex boards really strong. This 200% and this 100%, it's like, I don't know, it basically makes it so you're going to be like critting guaranteed every time, plus the extra crit damage. You basically always need to have like a JG and a Jewel. Like you always need like a Jewel Gauntlet IE, so that extra crit chance actually matters, because they have like the added effect that if you already have crit chance, then it does bonus damage instead, right? Something like that, probably. And then Guardian buff, I think that's good. I felt like I played like 4 or 6 Guardian sometimes when I didn't hit Sentinel boards, and I felt like it was really mid. I think that helps a lot. Okay, now large traits. Heartsteel, I think this doesn't change much, besides the fact that now like 2-1 Heartsteel is going to be so broken. Like the way Heartsteel now is gonna work is that you can like do this thing where you like after you cash out 4, you raise the stakes and you gain double hearts. I think now it's gonna turn into like the old econ augments where like you hit it and you hit it 2-1 and you basically win the game. And I know that's like maybe like a little bit of hyperbole, but it's like with the econ changes where people aren't gonna be streaking as much, it's gonna be hard. People are gonna be trying to play a strong-ish board because they want to preserve HP. I think that's gonna be the vibe of the patch. That's all good for if you hit Heartsteel 2-1. If you hit Heartsteel 2-1 and you can convert it, the first cash out doesn't matter. So 2-1, you don't really give a shit about, right? So for all of stage 2, you just play like Heartsteel, you cash out at the end of the stage, and you're like, all right, double down. Stage 3, everybody's gonna be kind of strong relative to you. Like they're all playing boards probably. Maybe if they're not playing a board, you kind of grief it. But if you can hit, keep your Heartsteel, you get double the hearts. And then you just stop playing Heartsteel after that, because you basically stage 3 you lose, you gain double the hearts. On stage 3 you usually get to around 80, even if you're playing like 3 Heartsteel, right? Now you'll be plus 100, so it'll be like 120. That's like cash out for like close to like Radiant item ish in terms of strength, right? So you basically gain a free Radiant item when everybody's kind of broke, and or money and or duplicators and stuff like that. If you hit 5 Heartsteel as well, like if you actually like slight roll, or your bottom pick and you pick on Carousel and you get like your last Heartsteel unit, and you have a Heartsteel +1, right? Doesn't that mean that you're just gonna win the game for free? Like, you're probably gonna get like double bonus. You'll probably be like plus 200 cash out, right? 200 plus cash out. What are you getting? You're getting like a tome, dupe. Like, it's a lot, right? I don't think it matters if it's not 2-1, because you really need to have like a high roll position to not like reliably win. But I think even if you get it like stage 3, right? Like, if you do like, there's lots of times this patch where you can sack 8 rounds basically, or you can, like, you don't have to sack the first 4 rounds basically. It's only the 4 rounds after that, because it's only when you do the plus thing, to raise the stakes, that you go into like this second stage where you gain your hearts, right? I feel like if you're playing Heartsteel and then you switch it to Heartsteel, like if you're playing Heartsteel and then you play 4 turns normally, you preserve HP, you play a strong board, then you just sack the next 4 turns, and you have 5 Heartsteel in the middle of the game, you're gonna get like a 400 cash out, and you just win the game on the spot with something like that. It feels like you're gonna be so far ahead. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe I'm wrong. Hyper Pop buff, that's pretty good. Lulu might be really strong. Jazz buffs, but now the spat's craftable, so I think it kind of averages out. I think it just buffs like the MF reroll boards, like stuff like that, where you're probably gonna be playing Jazz boards anyways. It just makes it like those boards more reliable, which I like those boards. I think they're okay. But reroll, you know, bleh. Sentinel nerfs, not too big, but pretty substantial, because the Sentinels gain double, so you're basically losing like 50 armor when you're playing 6 Sentinels, so I think that's a good change. And then Spellweaver reduced, and this, and like less AP. I think this is fine. I think that the Spellweaver board is still going to be strong, it just won't be as strong as before. Maybe you play vertical Spellweaver instead of like the Ari board. These are just small traits changes, like the 10s and the 9s and the country. This country nerf seems pretty big on the Hecarim, but the problem is, I think like you'll be hitting 7 more reliably, so it's like you're going from like 20 to 50 anyways, right? So it's like, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't think it's gonna matter, these nerfs to country, as much as I think it just makes it so that you kind of have to play towards spat, and maybe like you play country when there is a spat, but I don't think it's gonna matter that much, because usually the units were more important than the Hecarim. KDA, yeah, these are all fine. And then they gave Ziggs a Shojin. That matters a bit, because then you don't have to commit a mana item to him, but you're probably not gonna play Super Fan at that point if you're playing Ziggs. Okay, so a small buff to Annie, but they reduced some of the other stuff. I don't know how to interpret these, because Emo got buffed and Spellweaver got buffed, so having her like more like one-shotty, I think it makes her stronger early game but weaker late game. I think that's my understanding of it. So I think Annie reroll will just be more reliable early, and I think that's a fine change. Nami needed a buff. She kind of sucked. I don't know if that's big enough, but it's a small mana change, so that's good. Olaf was already really strong. There's the meme that I'll play Olaf reroll with my sub goal up top, right? Somewhere up there, right? I think it's gonna become more viable now. More AD and more attack speed, and we'll see later that there's also changes to Headliner Olaf and Tahm Kench also. These two are like the goated ones for if you wanted to solo on creep rounds. So I think now you might be able to solo 4 creeps as well and gain even more gold, but you know, we'll see. I think it makes them really busted. They might be able to stay on your board. A lot of times you get rid of them, but now they might stay on your board the whole time. We'll see. Tarek needed changes. He kind of sucked. Maybe now he'll actually be like more playable. Vi, she's getting buffed again. This might matter with Punk. The Jax line is kind of not as good anymore, so I don't think that she's going to be played much outside of Punk, because you're not really playing Mosher in those other situations. But I think it makes the Punk board really strong, because a lot of times with Punk, if you're playing 4 or even 6 Punk, you kind of have to play a Vi sometimes, and it kind of always felt like shit because she was pretty bad. I think now it just makes it a little bit stronger, maybe a little bit more consistency in the Punk line. This seems kind of crazy. They nerf true damage a lot, so it might be hard, because the whole point of Yasuo reroll is that you stabilize late with like 6 true damage and all of that stuff. But they didn't really nerf the trait that much as they did like the spat. So this is huge, right? Like Yasuo reroll is broken in PBE when it was 2%, so they nerfed it to 1% from PBE, and now they're putting it back to 1.5. I don't know how broken it will be. It might not be giga broken, but I think like Yasuo reroll is going to be like way more viable. Because like, especially if people are like broke and stuff and don't have like good econ, and you just send it for a Yasuo 3 and you just have Yasuo 3, you could just win out all of stage 3. You'll actually streak, you'll be rich, and then you can actually like go 8 and fit in the true damage board, and you'll be like way ahead of tempo. And that's the fear I have of 1-cost rerolls like Annie and Yasuo just like actually allowing you to streak. I don't know. Corki nerf, yeah, he was strong. Yeah, nerf him. Evelyn buff, yeah, she was weak, buffered. Lilia felt good, whatever. And Cassante small nerf, yeah. It's not that small, it's actually like pretty big. But I don't think it's like, I think you're still gonna play Cassante in the spots. It just might not be like an always take Cassante angle. You might take some of the other ones like Tarek now, and Olaf, and the other Olaf and Tarek, Olaf, and Tom Kench over Cassante. 2-cost Bard was already pretty good. This is really nice because if you play like the Jazz reroll line, it might help out a lot. And also I felt like he was kind of like awkward. Like you see a Bard chosen and you're like, oh, do I really want to take Bard chosen as my chosen to like streak keep me into level 3? I don't know if this changes enough of it, but you know, it's nice to see little buffs. Garen, more HP is insanely strong, and this is strong. Garen, they nerfed Sentinel, but like this makes Riven strong again as well. The only other unit that you want to play on the Riven board, the Garen. I don't know. Kai'Sa was already pretty strong. I've seen Kai'Sa double trouble ideas as well, so I think Kai'Sa is going to be played a lot more, but she was already a really good item holder, so now it just might make it more viable to play after. All the Jazz units are getting buffed, I feel, because this is also really good on the Jazz board. And then Gragas, some buffs. I think Gragas was already really strong, so I think it's just going to be a really strong, stable tank for stage 3/4. Maybe even reroll into like a full Spellweaver board reroll might be viable. A little bit of Katarina buffs and Kayle buffs. Kayle reroll, especially this patch, the way things are kind of going, if things shift their way down from a 4-cost meta into like more low cost, like rerolls and other stuff like that, then I think the Kayle reroll board is going to be really, really strong. I always kind of believed in Kayle reroll a little bit, but it just didn't seem like it was quite there. And having this like 475 to 540 for the auto damage, and like these buffs on like 3-star Kayle especially, might make it that she's like a lot more viable. And then you have the spat carousel, you can get 7 pentakill, all sorts of crazy shit. With the crowd diver buffs, Katarina chosen might be really good as well. I don't know, I think these are fine, but I think Kayle might be a good reroll comp now. Jax, big nerfs, fuck this unit. I'd never want to see another fucking Jax again. I'm happy, I don't care. You're a Jax enjoyer, that's what I say. I don't know why they buffed that unit in the first place. Okay, Pantheon, Punk board. This Punk board, they're kind of switching around Twitch so that he fits his items a little bit better, because it was kind of awkward how you would play the items on Twitch. So now it's more like an AD style Twitch, which I think it makes sense, because like sometimes you'd like play Morello Twitch a lot of times if you weren't playing like Twitch primary carry. So that's good. 3-cost champions. Echo nerf with the stun, great. Mordekaiser buff, I felt like he was already really strong, but okay, I guess. I hate that there's these giant buffs to this one. Guess who also used the Mordekaiser unit? The Riven board. Like, I don't know. I'm calling it. Maybe I'm just a Riven enjoyer. I play a lot of Riven, so, you know. Lux, low damage is really good. Not changing the 3-cost Lux makes it so that like it's not like she's broken now, that she becomes like the new reroll, like I was saying, but it makes it a lot more consistent at lower level of having Lux, so I think that's great as well. Lulu reroll maybe. Also, they buffed Jazz, so I think the Jazz reroll is going to be really strong. They buffed all the Jazz units because of the Jazz spat missing, but I think like when you were playing like the MF board with like Nico, this like all the units that are on the MF board, like Kai'Sa, Nico, all of these, they're becoming more viable, so I think the MF reroll is going to be really strong again. That's what I get from these. Now, we're going to start transitioning to our 4-cost, so now we can stop talking about rerolls for once. Anyways, Ari nerf, she needed it, that's good. Karthus, they kind of changed stuff, like his mana, like it's in red, but I think this is good, right? And then they changed like the target system so that like it's 4 targets instead, but that's because they're making like the spell damage more. Like this is a huge change. Like 405, 330 to 405. I think Karthus Akali might be back. It also helps with like a Kale reroll board if you just throw in a Karthus after. But this Karthus unit is going to be takeable. A lot of this patch, like it started, you played Karthus Akali, then it kind of fell off just because of the way, like, you know, Karthus Akali wasn't really good into like Ari board and like stuff like that. And a lot of the comps that everybody was like forcing, it wasn't really good in. But I think it's really strong now. I don't know. I think this might be really good. Twisted Fate, Disco. It's finally Disco time. These are huge changes. Everything, right? I don't know. I think this is a nerf though. I don't know. I don't understand this one. Viego buffs. I think that's fine. He wasn't used that much. Zac buffs. I think that's fine. They're nerfing EDM, so I'm not too worried about him just like stockpiling into that. But I think like you usually wouldn't want to take Zac as a frontline unit because he kind of wasn't as good as the other one. So I think that's a nice change. Okay, changes. They're nerfing Caitlyn a little bit. They're making her have a higher AP ratio. Now her AD ratio isn't changing by that much compared to how much her AP ratio is kind of increasing. You might end up changing items. Like I think Gunblade will be really good on her because just the way she bursts damage, she can heal a lot. And with the AP ratio, it might be good to have a little bit of AP. I think that's fine. I really like the spot Caitlyn was in before this patch, and I think that she's not going to be nerfed too much because she's removing a lot of AD, but you still have the 8-bit buffs, right? So I think the AD, it's a net positive because I think the AD won't matter as much because she's gonna have 8-bit buffs that will kind of compensate for it. So and then she's just getting plus AP ratio, so that's cool. It might be a little more flexible on items. Poppy, a little bit of less max HP heal, but they did the emo buff, so I'm not sure how it works out. And a little bit of more HP on Thresh. I think Thresh is already really strong, so I think extra 50 HP, that's pretty big. That's a nice change because, like, you know, he's already good. 5 cost. They're buffing Lucian. Obviously, I think it's in line with like the Jazz nerfs and everything. This is great. I think Lucian was already Giga strong, especially if you had like Lucian chosen, but like you're not gonna hit that, and you're probably just gonna be filling the Lucian anyways. So having like the 1 and 2 star fixing is good. Kiana nerf, a lot of nerfs. I think this is fine. I think Kiana's already really strong. I think Kiana 1 was crazy. I think Kiana 2 was like, what the fuck is going on here? So I think like these nerfs are fine. I don't really care. Fuck the true damage trade. I'm over it by now. Sona, they're buffing healing Sona and damage Sona and nerfing AS Sona, right? I think that's fine. I think the whole Ari board is just like generally, it's not like destroyed. It's just slightly weaker in all of its regards, right? I think it was crazy the way it was already for what it was worth. So I think the Ari board is still playable. It's just a matter of like how you cap that board might be a little bit different. I'm not quite sure that I understand it yet. But, you know, we might even see like Guardian Ari with thing, but I think it's still going to work, right? You're not losing too much attack speed from Sona 1 or Sona 2. It's like 5%, right? Which is a lot per auto, but, you know, it was crazy the way it was already. It was kind of like if you hit Ari and Sona, you kind of just won the game a lot of the time, unless somebody else like Giga high rolled. And like buffing these other ones, like you would sometimes play AP Sona with the Ari board anyway, so buffing it might make it like kind of strong. I don't know. Also, there's KDA buffs, so like the KDA rough like 5 KDA buffs might make it so you play like 5 KDA Ari board with Sona, and then you have like more frontline from that. I don't know. I think the board's still gonna be fine. Ziggs needed some buffs. I think they over nerfed him a little bit. I think this is fine. Ziggs is really great to just throw on the board, especially when you have like Jazz and stuff like that. So I think it's fine to just buff him a little bit. I don't know if this is gonna make him broken, but they're making more of like the small bomb damage instead of the big bomb damage, if I'm understanding correctly. So he drops a bomb and then it like frag grenades. He might be broken, but the thing is, I don't see people hitting 5 cost with the low econ. It just might be like a high roll position. You put a Ziggs 1 in your board, and then at that point, it's like, does it really matter too much? It's like, maybe. Alright, headliner bonuses. Evelyn, Olaf, Tom Kench, right? The Olaf this is pretty big, an extra 5 armor, NMR, especially early game. Tarek buffs, right? Vi buffs. Yasuo, they reduced the Omnivamp, which I think is a good change, but they buffed his HP. Having buffed HP on a melee unit is insane. I remember when they buffed fucking, what's her name, Fiora last patch, and then she went from like fucking bottom tier. They gave her 50 health, and she became the fucking most broken unit in the game. And they just gave this guy 100 HP. I think this Yasuo reward is going to be giga strong as well. Aphelios, a little bit of extra AD. Garen, Gnar. They delayed it. I think this is to kind of help. I didn't watch. I don't remember this part of the video, so I don't know why they did this. But I think it's just to fix like some of like the randomness of just the Gnar jumping and dying. Gragas buffs, Nico buffs, Zac buffs. These are all fine. I think all the units that are listing here were like most of these were chosen that you would see, besides Aphelios, right? Because Aphelios is like Heartsteel thing. But a lot of these chosens, you kind of looked at them and you're like, do I really want to take this? And I think the Garen one, like this is fine because they buffed his regular HP by like 100, so that's okay. I think these are a lot of these, like, but like there's some of them that you would always take, like the frontline ones, because it's just good to have a solid frontline more so than it is to have a solid attack. In stage 3/4, so it's fine. Augments, whatever. This extended play granting gold makes it, I think they're like buffing Punk kind of like through alternative means. I don't really care. I don't think Punk is going to be that much stronger. Like a lot of times you'd have a capped Punk board and you still lose to like a regular reroll, right? It's like, who cares really? Little Buddy's nerf is good. Stationary support. I don't know. This is, I don't know what interval it falls on now, but I think it's bad. I think this one hurts it a lot. Because I remember it would always come in like just in time, like when you're picking Augment. But I guess it always came after Augment anyway, so I don't think it really matters. You're still getting it late. Consistency disabled because of the new changes, that's good. Rolling for days, whatever. Yeah, whatever. This is a really good change, because this one was kind of busted. Exposed weakness. Like, I never take this anyways, so like I don't really give a shit. Like, I think it was bad anyways, so I don't know why it's getting nerfed, but whatever. All of these are like whatever. Teaming up now, showing on 4-2, that's fine. I think that's fair, but it's like, you know, whatever. And then Prismatic, they made Tiniest Titan give way more gold. I think that's huge. I think it already grants 1 gold per round, so granting 15, it's basically like an Econ Augment early game now, because it basically just makes you make 20 instantly, right? As opposed to 8, where it kind of like, Now specifies, oh, they just changed the wording of it, that's fine. Items! Oh yeah, I think this is the last little bit. Sorry if the video is long. I'm kind of getting gassed out. I'm kind of talking fast, you know, kind of going through it. But, you know, there's a lot of changes to go through. I'm kind of skimming over the ones that I don't think are as important. But we'll do a little cliff notes at the end, I guess. Adaptive Helm, I think you never really wanted to slam it. But I think this is like a good change. Whatever, it doesn't change too much. Archangel Staff being better is really nice. Bloodthirster granting AP is kind of nice, because then it just gives a little bit of AP ratio, right? Which is really strong for somebody like Yasuo. I think this buffs Yasuo and Riven especially, right? Like Yasuo, you wanted a little bit of AP ratio because it helps with like his Omnivamp and like his other stats. That's why you gave him Titans a lot, because it gave like some AP as well. It also Bloodthirster on like Kaisa, no, not Kaisa, Akali. Like there's a lot of melee units that you would give a little bit, like a sprinkle of AP, because it would help them a lot. And this like now gives a sprinkle of AP, so it can change the itemizations a lot. For like, sorry, I think I said Yasuo, I meant Yone. Like Yone, you'd put like Titans and stuff, and it gives a little bit of AP. Blue buff, good. Blue buff needs a little bit of a nerf, I think. It was really strong. Declaw, HP increase 10% is insane. I think Declaw was probably one of the worst tank items you'd slam. Even though everybody was playing AP, you just never really want to make a Declaw. But now I guess it's because Shrouds were just really high value. Even Shroud getting a buff is crazy. I felt like already it was really strong, so now it's just like even stronger. Gargoyle, some buffs. I think that's fine. Mostly to the Radiant though, so who cares? Hextech Gunblade, I think now is really broken, right? These are Radiant changes, but like this gives like more AP and more AD. I don't know. Giving more AP and AD, I don't know. That seems really strong. Ionic Spark also being more tank, giving more tank stats is also good. And then Jewel Gauntlet, yeah, okay, whatever. Morello being buffed. Okay, rods are just gonna be busted. They buffed Archangels, they buffed Spark, they buffed Morello. There's better AP ratio on some units, like Caitlyn, right? I don't think you're gonna slam a Morello on Caitlyn, but I'm just saying. Right? Now you gain more attack speed with Morello. That's broken. That seems really good. And then Rabadons, what do we have? We lower AP, that's fine. Oh yeah, 20% bonus damage? What the fuck? Excuse me? Everybody's gonna use a Rabadons now. I think people are gonna stop grabbing double tier and they're just gonna prioritize Rabadons. Like holy shit, 20% bonus damage and it gives 60 AP? Without an AP unit, they're gonna go infinite. Like, look at the changes they did to Executioner and fucking Emo. You don't even need a mana item. You just get 2 rods, you slap it on Vex, GG, it's over. Next game, thank you. And then these are Radiant ones. I don't really care about Radiant changes. If you roll into a Radiant one, like whatever, you know. Red buff, nerf, that's good. Crown Guard, that's good. I think Crown Guard was already really strong. Weird when you... Oh, these are Radiants. Never mind. Radiant, whatever. True damage. They added base MR. I think they don't say it here, but the thing with True Damage Emblem is now like it doesn't grant bling bonus when you use it. So it's like giga nerfed compared to like the other stuff. So I think it's like worse, but I don't know how much worse it is because I can't tell. Bug fixes. I don't think any... I never encountered any of these bugs. If you did, these are bugs that were fixed. The bug I always encounter is like, you know, like when you grab an item like late and then it doesn't appear on your bench. Like that happens to me a lot. And I don't know if it's a bug or if it's on purpose, but sometimes like I'll grab an item and it doesn't like it's like when you get like one of those component things. A component anvil, and then it doesn't appear on my bench, and I'm like halfway through the fight, I'm like waiting, I'm like hello, and it just doesn't show up. I hate that. Anyways, those are all the patch notes, so I'll take the moment here. My prediction, I kind of said a lot in this patch. I think rerolls are going to be more viable. I think they buffed Jazz reroll a lot, and Riven are like plus. Also Kale, like a lot of the units that Kale uses are also plus. And I think a lot of this just comes down to how contested these units are, right? Like if people are contesting these boards, then obviously like with a reroll board, when you're contested, it's like a lot worse than if you're playing like a 4-cost board and you're contested. Because like, you know, you can still kind of hit with those. They made the 4-cost like easier to hit a headliner, so maybe it'll work out. I'm just imagining it's broke and then there'll be this. And I think in general, like I didn't talk about it too much because I think it was kind of obvious, but like Ari and True Damage, which are like two of the main offenders of the last patch, are both like giga minus. So I think that's like fine. It's just like, you know, we're transitioning from something like this to something like this as being like strong versus weaker. I still think these boards are fine, right? Like I'll write fine here. But like, you know, we'll see what happens. Anyways, if you like this content, please make sure to like and subscribe. Leave comments at what you think is going to be the strongest this patch. You know, maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, maybe I'm right. But I just want to interpret these for my YouTube channel as a nice little fun break from just like constant TFT VOD reviews and VOD videos. And then tomorrow we're gonna do a live grind session. So make sure to tune into the Twitch because we're gonna be playing the patch for several hours, trying to figure out shit, try new stuff, make some tubers. Okay, bye bye.